Are another episode of awesome conversation on 2030 podcast across Facebook Live, Twitter Live, YouTube streaming this, SoundClouding it. I'm your host, Alan Sakyan. I'm with my brother, Jordan Rein.
Glad to be here.
Thank you for tuning in again to Jordan participating for his second podcast. And Jordan is going to be talking to me about meditation again. We just came back from we're going to have a conversation about our second meditation retreat that we went on. Thanks for tuning in across these platforms. Feel free to ask questions on Twitter and Facebook. We can see them live. And on Twitter, there's some racist things happening already, which is very ridiculous. So
that was quick.
That was quick. All right, so we just came back from our second 10-day meditation retreat. Jordan is just as handsome as you. Thank you.
Thank you. Love the attention. Love the attention.
So second 10-day meditation retreat. It is Vipassana. It is a practice that we did in August of 2016, and now we are doing. We did again in June of 2017. So we are planning to go back more. It's exciting. We're going to talk about it for a little bit. Jordan, let's talk about this center. Where is it located? Why is it so cool? Why do we love it?
Absolutely. North Fork. So that's the Sierra Nevadas,
Yep.
I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
And that's, I'm going to say maybe about an hour west of Yosemite. So beautiful landscape.
South.
Yeah, south. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Got the whole kind of picturesque mountains, open blue skies, manzanita trees everywhere.
Yeah. Peregrine falcons, so many insects and animals, countless. It's just so fun.
Absolutely. Yeah. We're in Santa Cruz right now, and very kind of humid, damp, redwoody type of feel to it. North Fork is dry, but it's a dry beauty, I'd say.
It is.
Some of the sunsets there were absolutely fantastic. And
the air was really fresh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That natural beauty really kind of helps you just kind of settle into the meditation.
No light pollution.
None.
Yeah. So the stars were easily visible every single night. We had full moon during the retreat. It was great.
Absolutely. It's all designed just to make it just meditation and nature. Really, that's about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
They picked a grounds. They say they picked their grounds based on being far enough away from the city where you can experience nature in its fullest, but at the same time being close enough to the city where it's easy for a householder to come to the city to experience Vipassana.
3-hour drive for us, so really not so bad.
Exactly, just a 3-hour drive from the Bay Area to the Vipassana Retreat. It is gorgeous. I mean, they've had that campus since 88, 89-ish, and they have made the campus gorgeous over time. They have male and female dining halls. They have male dormitory quarters, female dormitory quarters. They have a beautiful Dhamma hall where people come together to practice. 120 people come, 60 men, 60 women, to sit in silence for an hour at a time.
Yep.
And 3 times a day. And then they have a pagoda, which is a single cell meditation hall, where you have your own single room of like about, 3 feet by 8 feet or so, and you sit in that room in complete darkness and meditate in there in between the hour-long sessions. So it's an absolutely gorgeous campus, from the sunsets to the sunrises to the clouds and the mountains and the insects and the paths that you can walk on and the views that you have. They picked a great campus. Anyone listening in the Bay Area or in California, please go check out Dhamma.org. It's in North Fork, California. And even if you're not from around here, check it out online and potentially come visit for a session there. Other things that we'd like to mention to you are things like the showers there are great. You hot showers, great bathrooms, clean bathrooms. The rooms are great. It's like probably an 8 foot by 8 foot room or so.
It's sizable.
Sizable
and
rooms.
The newer facilities, you have your bedroom, and you have an attached bathroom and shower.
Yeah.
They really want you just to kind of stay within your own little space, just to improve the focus of the meditation. There's still some older dorms, but luckily, since we're older students, returning students, we did not have to stay in those. We upgraded to the little bit fancier bedrooms.
Yeah. And the food is also exceptional.
Mm-hmm.
So on this course, I sat on this course,
Mm-hmm.
which means I was a student of the 10-day program. And Jordan was also a student of the 10-day program, but he also got in as a server.
Yep.
So that means he also had the volition, the energy of giving his time to serve others, which then compounded his karma in very great ways. And so before we jump into like what Jordan did as a server versus kind of what I did as a student, the food. The food is fantastic. It's vegetarian food. Every day you have a great salad served at lunch, plus you have hot dishes served throughout the day for breakfast and lunch. The food sessions happen at 7 a.m. and around 11 a.m. So that's when the food comes, and then you intermittently fast, meaning you don't. New students eat fruits around 5 o'clock, but old students just drink tea. Yeah. And then so you fast until the morning next day.
A little bit of hunger really kind of focuses the mind.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
It's a great point.
It sounds austere and it sounds horrible, but you skip dinner and somehow your meditation just becomes that much better. Magic.
Absolutely. And if we think about it in anatomical and biological terms, when we consume food, our energy is busy digesting the food that's in our stomach. And that's where our blood flow is, and that's where our attention's at. Versus when we are a little bit hungry, a lot of our attention is we're able to shoot all of that up to our mind and think strongly about things. You guys can tell. You finish a big meal, it's much harder to work. Yeah. So... things like oatmeal and prunes for breakfast, and like as a hot dish, and then cereals and toast, peanut butter, that kind of stuff, and jams. And then lunch, you get some like soup and the salad, and then some rice dish and that kind of stuff. So the food is absolutely delicious. And Jordan, so I sat, Jordan served. So when you sit, you get to definitely hone in more on your practice because you don't have to pass time serving. But for example, for me, it was waking up every day to an 8 a.m. course, and a 2:30 p.m. course, and a 6 p.m. course, which servers also have to do. We all do those. But then during the off times, during like 4 a.m. and at 1 p.m. and then again at 3, and then at 4, and then at 8. So those are the breaks in between. And so then I have the freedom to go and sit and practice my meditation in my room or in the pagoda or walk around. Jordan, on the other hand.
It was work. As a server, you're pretty much at the beck and call of the managers of the course. And one day I'm cooking. The next day I'm doing the dishes. The next day I'm weed whacking to bring out fires. I did about 10 new jobs. And some of the stuff was really weird out there stuff. Like I had to build scaffolding to help install security cameras because there's a break-in in the facility a couple months ago. I had to spray paint a couple rebars to make them look a little bit prettier. It's interesting work, you know. I didn't really expect. It kind of shows what really goes on at a monastery, and it's a lot of upkeep, really. 120 new students coming in every 10 days.
Yeah, about every 2 weeks. So it's a few day break. Yeah,
correct.
Did you hear how many things he did though? He did a lot of things.
It was six plus hours of work minimum every day.
Every day, yeah.
On top of the meditation.
He's giving to the center and giving to the students that are experiencing Dhamma.
Yeah.
That are experiencing the Vipassana meditation.
You put it well earlier, Alan, when you said that sitting is about receiving, but when you serve, the main goal is to give.
Exactly.
Give yourself to the center and give yourself to help the student succeed. And when I'm meditating, you're supposed to close your eyes, but I cheated a little bit and opened them up. And when you see like 120 students like silent in the zone, like they're digging deep, it was a really fantastic feeling. I'll tell you that. Yeah.
It is. It's profound to sit in a room with 120 people that are all quiet. that are all meditating. It's
Mm-hmm.
crazy energy. And when people aren't looking at one another and they're not talking to one another and they're not worried, like, hey, how's that meditation going? Or like, what are you doing right now? How are you?
Mm-hmm.
That when you're not asking each other that, or you don't have the instinct to have to do that, it creates a very, very serene and
Mm-hmm.
ethereal environment of just peace and tranquility. And because of that, it compounds the intensity of your meditation. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and not just in the Dhamma hall when everyone's sitting there and you feel great serving all of them, but also in the food quarters, in the dining halls,
Mm-hmm.
when you see 60 men or 60 women, separate dining halls, when you see them eating without talking to each other.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever sat somewhere and eaten with 60 other people where nobody's talking to one another? So it's a profound feeling of being able to focus on your awareness of consuming food. What
Mm-hmm.
happens after you consume food? How does it slide down the esophagus and the stomach? How does it get digested? And how does that energy spread? And
Mm.
there's so much fascinating stuff that this body can do that we don't necessarily tune into to become aware of. One of the most beautiful creations in the universe is the human body.
Mm-hmm.
So Jordan did a bunch of crazy things as a server, everything from serving and dishwashing and cooking, chopping up food, serving to weed whacking, scaffolding, all this kind of cool stuff that people don't necessarily think about that the center needs to upkeep for the future students. So, all right, so that's a solid explanation of like what you did as a server. We talked a
Mm-hmm.
little about noble silence. So maybe we talk a little bit about like this sit versus the last sit, but
Yeah,
yeah, but we kind of talked about the last sit in our
we
last
did.
time.
I mean,
Jump into this sit.
this. Yeah.
So I think one of the biggest things that I took away, and Jordan and I have talked about this a little bit now, is that everything happens inside.
Yeah.
So when we see the world, we typically think that everything's happening outside of us. Like I see the world and I see another human, but I don't see the human there. I see the human inside my mind. Because
Mm-hmm.
light is reflecting off the human, it's going through my eyes into my mind, and I'm projecting an image of a human, right? So that's how we see everything inside of our mind. So same thing when like if I touch Jordan's shoulder right now, Jordan's not actually feeling my hand. He's feeling sensation on his shoulder
Mm-hmm.
that's communicating nerve signals to his mind that's saying, hey, you have a feeling of touch on
Yeah.
your shoulder right now.
Mm-hmm.
And so everything's happening inside your mind, okay? And so eyes, smell, taste, hearing, touching, all these senses are just us cognizing what's happening outside of us, but those senses come into through our senses into our mind and we can manufacture it. So that profound realization that everything happens inside of you is then you get that those senses cause sensations inside your mind. And then the way to, and I mean we're going to go through basically the entirety of the practice by explaining it, but you take over from here. I know you know it. I want people to hear you explain it.
It's sensations. It's really that's the link between the external world and your internal reactions. Is the sensations, pleasant sensations, unpleasant sensations, tingly sensations, neutral sensations, cold sensations, the whole spectrum. And really, what this particular tradition of meditation practices that teaches Vipassana is even if it's a good sensation, watch it. Just watch it with equanimity. If it's a bad sensation, don't run. Don't try to push it away. Watch it with equanimity. Come out of the mental habit pattern of constantly just running towards pleasure and running away from fear, grasping, clinging for things that make you feel good. You can't. You keep on observing, and that grasping, that clinging, that running away, according to Vipassana and meditate to find out for yourself, just throwing this out there, is probably the cause of suffering, of your suffering, of my suffering, of everyone's suffering.
Yeah.
And when you just step back, imagine you're just sitting on the bank of a river, if you will. You just kind of watch the sensations flow by. It removes you kind of from that hectic mental deeply ingrained mental pattern. And that's what I kind of clicked for me. I mean, intellectually, I got that, but this last 10 days really allowed me to deepen my practice and just be really okay with whatever arises.
That was well said, Jordan. And the idea of intellectually understanding to not be negative is so widely well known. You can ask anybody on these threads that are tuning in right now, do you like to be negative? The answer is no. No, I hate being negative.
Feels bad.
Negativity feels bad.
Yeah.
And that's everyone's answer to that question. But people believe that stress and negativity are just part of the vicissitudes of life, the ups and the downs of life. Suffering is a normal cause. It's a normal thing for humans, but it's all caused by our perceptions that are not aligning to our desires. That if we think that we should have something in our life, that we're craving something in our life, that we're clinging on to, that, oh, Jordan should have paid for gas on the way there and back. Meh. And then I'm just like meh about it. And because of that feeling that I have, then I get all like, I get clingy. I get emotional about that feeling. But instead, I don't let that rise and cause anxiety or disturbances in me, but rather I remain equanimous. Same thing with if Jordan's like, Alan, like I didn't like it how you said this certain thing in front of my friend, right? And if he says that to me, then I can respond by getting angry or upset at him and being like, yo, like it's okay, like I can say what I want, or I can just remain equanimous. So we mentioned some examples in the first meditation, we're going to mention some examples now. Whoever cuts you off in traffic or whatever is you, it has to do with the way that we interpret the thought in our mind, and then how the sensation arises, and then being able to control the sensation. To observe the sensation.
Absolutely.
And to control our actions, to remain equanimous and observe how it makes us feel rather than react to it.
Excellent question just popped up on Twitter asking, do all are emotions the cause of all disease? And I'm guessing mental disease is what they're referring to.
Good question.
Interesting question. I would err towards no, almost. Sadness is an emotion, and anger is an emotion. And I do feel that while there are problems with particularly strong emotions, anger, lashing out could cause horrible damage.
It does.
But almost as if the anger is fueled by more anger, the reaction to the anger, the clinging to the anger.
It is. Yeah.
Sadness turns into depression, where there's clinging to the sadness, inability to let go of sadness, and not just, if it comes, great. If it goes, also great.
We cling on to that.
Bingo.
We cling on to it.
And it makes the problem.
It makes the problem. We analyze all of the senses that come into our mind, and we say good, bad, pleasant, unpleasant, hatred, emotion, craving. We immediately cognize, we immediately react to it, to a sensation, rather than take a step back, being aware of how, thanks for all the love on Twitter, what's the question? 10% of what we go through, 90% of how we deal with it. It's a good way to put it.
Absolutely.
It's all about how we deal with what we experience in our lives. And so equanimity, staying even keel, it's one of the things we'll get into a little bit. Let's move on to the practice. So the actual practice itself covers three main concepts. The three Pali words that it covers are Shila, Samadhi, and Panya. And so, Jordan, why don't you talk about Shila?
Yeah, morality. So these are the three pillars of Vipassana. Sila is the one of them, and it is what Goenka believes to be the structural foundation to the practice of meditation. And what it is just trying to live a wholesome life guided by certain precepts. The precept of not killing, the precept of not lying, cheating, the precept of not having sexual misconduct. To attend this 10-day course.
Intoxicants,
thank you. You are attended to take these 5 precepts. And it's designed just to...
Purity of mind.
Generate this kind of calmness and purity of mind so that when you go to the meditation, you are able to sit and really, really be okay with what arises. If you are distracted, if you are guilty, if you are in a state of mind of greed, of aversion, your meditation will not be fruitful. These 5 precepts are designed just to kind of choose a more humble, wholesome life, I'd say. And you are encouraged to embrace them within the course and outside the course.
Correct.
Monks are required to take hundreds of precepts. As lay people, 5 to 8 is what we start off with. Numbers,
yes.
big numbers.
Yes, and that's, like you said, it's the structural foundation for the practice, is to follow the precepts. And then what you do after you acknowledge the precepts and that you're going to follow them is you practice what's called samadhi. Samadhi is the mastery of the mind. And so the way you master your mind is through a practice of anapana. Anapana is focusing on your respiration. That's all it is. We explained it in the first meditation, part 1. You can go check that out on YouTube or SoundCloud or wherever you want, wherever you're visiting from. And just to quickly cover it again, you focus, you close your eyes, you sit with your legs closed and your arms over your legs, and all you do is you observe sensation through your nose. You observe respiration through your nose first. And that's the inhales and the exhales through the nostrils over and over again. You do that for a few days. And what that does is it sharpens your mind. You only focus on a small area of your nostrils for several days of just breathing through your nostrils, and it sharpens your mind. And then further is you take and you start feeling the sensations around the nostrils, things like maybe a little bit of a hair moving, or a little bit of a heat right here, or a cold right here, or pinching, or something right there. And that sharpens your mind further. Now you're observing sensations, but you're not craving sensations. You're also not upset when you don't get sensations. You're staying equanimous.
This samadhi is directly counters the default state of the mind of going off in random directions on storylines, rehearsing for the future, rehashing the past. And samadhi, just the practice of following the breath in and out, incredibly simple, almost too simple to believe, trains the mind just to stay in the current moment and feel the current sensations. And this, as you alluded to, leads to deepening your awareness of sensations, which is wisdom, panna. Would you like to talk about what panna is?
Yeah, sure. So on day 4, we move through the process of Vipassana, which is you take the sensational analysis that you're figuring out right here, observing right here on the nose area, and you move it to the top of your head. And when you move it to the top of your head, you start observing sensations on the top of your head, and then you take and you start moving it downward. And you start moving it downward across your face and chest and body, and you start feeling sensations acutely on every inch of your body. You can feel little biochemical sensations, or hair moving, or heat, or cold. Again, you're staying equanimous, not craving, not emotion when you don't get it, etc. And so the idea of Panya is that you get this source of profound wisdom from that, because you gain insight into the reality of nature, that everything is impermanent. So you're sitting here and you're feeling a sensation, the sensation's gone. And then you feel another sensation, the sensation's gone. And it's just that you're aging minute by minute, second by second. We gave the examples in the last podcast, the photon shooting from light, or a river moving along, or tree aging, or human aging. This is not the same Jordan now. I mean, this is 23 minutes older Jordan now, and tons of biochemical changes have happened. And so that's Panya. You practice that for several days. It's Vipassana. You practice that for several days, and you get mastery of the mind through observing respiration and observing sensations across your body then, and then you remain equanimous. You understand impermanence, you remain equanimous, you do it for several hours at a time, and you leave with a very sharp mind. You leave with a very sharp mind, and you leave with a very equanimous mind. And then the point is to go out into society and civilization and practice your equanimity. And go and prove to people all the time through your daily actions that you don't get upset. You don't get upset, you don't get angry, you don't get fearful, you don't get anxious, you don't get stressed, you don't crave things, you don't cling on to things. You just stay really even keel all the time. And that's your biggest measurement of what you can achieve. And there's more. We're in the noob phase, and this is the path, the Noble Eightfold Path, as said by the Buddha, and we are in the noob phase. We have taken a few steps on the path. So There's plenty more after you observe sensations that we've only heard theory about, and we haven't. This is all intellectual theory about Buddha, about Vipassana and what Buddha achieved, and Nirvana and all these other crazy things that we know nothing about because we haven't experienced. So, all right, that was pretty good. Because eventually you get to a point where you can also scan and sweep your body for sensations. So it's not just piece by piece at a time, but it's full body scans for sensations, which feel really good. Maybe lastly, we'll talk about metta.
Ooh, metta. Yeah. That was a central theme to serving. Metta is the practice.
How do I find you on YouTube? Alan Sakyan is the YouTube channel. First name, last name, same thing as Twitter.
This will be posted up there shortly after.
It will be on YouTube shortly after.
Metta, the practice of loving, compassion, kindness. Service is all about giving yourself to others. And if you can give yourself to others and cultivate a sense of gratitude, of love, of goodwill, it not only benefits the others, but it will benefit you. You can kind of feel yourself become a little bit lighter, a little bit happier.
Yeah.
And I'll say it was hectic in the kitchen. It was hectic trying to prepare food, trying to manage the groundwork for 120 people, plus the staff, plus the teachers. But metta made it a very harmonious operation. There was no real arguments. Everyone kind of worked together as a team, as a collaborative unit. And at the end of every night, when all the other meditators had gone to bed, the servers and the teachers had like a 5-minute just metta session, just kind of cultivate this sense of gratitude, closing our eyes and just saying thank you to ourselves and to all the students for trying to come out of their suffering, which is a very beautiful thing.
Yes. Yes. And the equanimity helps you come out of your suffering, and that's exactly the goal, is to come out of your suffering. Your measurement's the yardstick of equanimity, and how you not only don't suffer, but how you help other people not suffer as well. Metta is a very beautiful thing. If you even practice right now, everyone at home, if you just practice saying, I love you, Mom. I love you, Dad. I wish all beings in my family. I wish all beings in my workplace. I wish all beings in my community, in my city, happiness. I wish all beings in the world happiness.
Really feel that, you know?
And feel it. Yeah, don't just say it, but feel the feeling. What would it feel like if all beings in the world were happy? Or what would it feel like if all beings in the world were liberated of their misery and their suffering? What would that actually feel like in the world? And really profoundly say that and emphatically say it with passion and enthusiasm. And when you do that, you bring yourself that energy that rides you into peace and bliss and harmony. It feels great. So that's an easy way for you guys to try what metta is.
Quick question I just saw pop up. Yoga. No, I think yoga is awesome. I think yoga is, great for the body, great for the mind. The Vipassana practice encourages you to focus on Vipassana. They're very wary of mixing techniques. As much benefit as the yoga can offer, they encourage you to keep it to light stretching if need be. Yoga should probably wait until you return back to your normal day-to-day life. That being said, I know many students who continue to practice yoga on their own, in their own rooms, and it's nobody's gonna come and knocking and busting you for stretching. If people do it, people do it.
Yeah. The idea of being a yogi is, or a guru is one that dispels darkness from people's lives. One that helps people with their equanimity. One that helps them become tuned into their own bodies, find that source of happiness and love and compassion, goodwill inside, and push it outside. And yoga in itself is literally the practice of doing that as well. So actually, in my opinion, like yoga and like Zen Buddhism and loving kindness meditation and Vipassana, and even some people have these profound experiences doing intoxicants, right? They all lead to ego loss, right? And so they all lead to a place of relieving suffering from the body. And so they all kind of point to similar place.
Great question. Bible helpful? Yes, or it's compatible. I actually served with a Christian theologian who was studying to become get a PhD in theology, and believes in Jesus Christ is Lord and Savior, and also was a daily Vipassana meditator and server. He comes to the course multiple times per year.
It's for everyone.
It's for everyone. They really make a point that the Vipassana practice is non-sectarian.
Yep.
It's not an organized religion.
Yep.
It's a experimental
Yep.
practice
Yep.
that Christian nuns and Christian monks in India. There is actually I was reading about this. It's fascinating. There is a center specifically set up to support Christian nuns and monks in India who want to come and learn the practice of Vipassana. Vipassana. Insight meditation.
Yeah. Yeah. Guys, thanks for tuning in.
Mm-hmm.
We've covered our second 10-day meditation. Jordan and I are planning to go back in just a few months for our third 10-day meditation. We plan to make this at least a twice per year thing. We recommend everyone to at least at home do something as simple as, I wish all beings in the world harmony and happiness.
Yeah.
Or just focus on a few breaths through your nostrils with your eyes closed.
60 seconds. Watch the feeling of the breath. Notice how you feel now. Watch your breath for 60 seconds and notice how you feel after that. Simple experiment.
Very simple experiment. Just give that one experiment a shot and then message us, let us know how it goes. Guys, thank you for tuning in again. Alan Sakian, Jordan Rein. Yeah, thanks for coming here, Jordan, and doing another podcast with us. Hopefully we do plenty more meditation podcasts and video casts to the world. Everyone, thanks for tuning in. These wouldn't be possible without you. You guys know how to help support us. We're on Patreon, on YouTube, on Twitter, on Facebook, on SoundCloud. Alan Sakian, 2030 Podcast. You can find us across the place. Now, like us, follow us, retweet, repost, comment, etc. Send us email to let us know what topics you want us to talk about, or if you have any questions or comments, we'd love to hear them. Guys, as we always say, if this has made any profound change in you, please do share it with other people in your community so we can make some profound change in the world. Thank you again so much, and may all beings be liberated from their misery. May all beings be happy.
Name of podcast?
2030 Podcast. SoundCloud.com/2030 Podcast.
Good evening, all.